our Sunday lesson today is Ask and it is given. Ask and it is given. You know, there's so many old teachings throughout the Bible that became the foundation for so many new thought teachings. Teachings we've heard of like the law of attraction or cause and effect, the law of correspondence. And so the idea of ask and it's given has been around, of course, a long time. Now, when I got in, I started here in 2000, and of course, our minister at the time, Joanne Bacon, would talk about these kinds of things. Now, I was also part of a very spiritual, new agey kind of group. I'd gone to a school for holistic healing, so I was around a bunch of like those kind of really new agey folks, right? And so we talked about asking and it being given. What I got out of this teaching, though, was ask for stuff. You ask for your stuff, and then God will give you everything. So I think back in 2000, I was calling God Spirit, right? I was trying out all these different names. So I was asking for my stuff. Okay, Spirit, I'd like to make $10,000 a month. Spirit, I want my dream home. Oh, Spirit, I would like to have a new car. I'd like to travel. And of course, I would like some stuff. Like I want my stuff. Preferably some stuff from Best Buy. And so I was asking for my stuff. Now, of course, I wasn't getting anything. I wasn't getting this stuff because the problem was I was treating the universe like a genie in a bottle. I was seeing it as separate from myself. You out there, all divine and all, give me my stuff. That's how I was seeing it. I didn't understand that anything I want to create in my life, it comes through me in some way. In one way or another, I am part of that process. I participate with it. So there was this Bible verse that used to just come to my attention all the time. And when I first heard this verse, I didn't much care for it. It's from Matthew 6, chapter 6, verse 19 and 20. Do not store up for yourself treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But instead, store up for yourself treasures in heaven, where moths and thieves can't do that stuff. But see, that wasn't what I wanted to hear. Because how I heard this verse, how it went into my brain was, you have to live like those spiritual guys in India, and all you're allowed to have is your little bowl for baking rice and one t-shirt and pants or something. That's how I was hearing it. I was hearing it as okay, if I want stuff, that means I'm not spiritual and I'm not a good person. And I was like, I don't understand that. So like a lot of stuff I didn't understand, I decided I would just ignore it. Okay, because see, really, there's stuff in my life. There's stuff in my life, treasures from this planet that I love. I love my car. I love my traveler's notebook. I love my iPad. I love my guitar. Right? There are a lot of things here that I love, and I thought what I was reading, it felt like, oh, well, you're wrong if you love all that stuff. You're just wrong. Okay, so I really did have to look at this, and it took me years to even be willing to look at it. But what this verse is saying is it's not saying don't enjoy your stuff. Don't enjoy your stuff. Remember, Christ came, and he said, I came not just so that you would have life, but that you would have it abundantly. Okay, it is God's will that we live abundantly. It's God's will that we call forth the good through us, for us, as us, and out into our life. It's God's will that we are creators and participate in our life as God creates in the whole. So do not store up your treasures on earth. This is just about don't collect stuff that you think is going to fix you. Don't buy this stuff that you think it's going to make you a better person or it's going to fill the void. When we collect stuff that way, when we buy stuff that way, we get tired of it. When we get stuff into our life that we think is going to make us a better person, eventually we get tired of it. Now, prop number one. This book. I got this book in the early 2000s. How to Get Lots of Money for Anything Fast. And it's by Stuart Lichtman and Joe Vitale. And I think a lot of people have heard of Joe Vitale. He's written a lot of books. This book, it's like 260 pages. This was $89. But the marketing was so good. Yeah, $89, and this is almost 20 years ago. The marketing was so good I knew that if I got this book, it would fix me. It would make me rich. I told my husband, I'm like, I gotta have this book. I've gotta have this book because it'll make me rich. He's like, you mean you're gonna pay them $89 and they're gonna send you a book? I was like, well, no, they'll send me the download. I have to print it up myself. He's like, they won't even give you the book? You have to print it? Okay, so I had to have this book. I said it has like 260 pages. Look at my little marker. I stopped reading at page 61. And my objective was $10,000 a month. I stopped reading this because, you know what? I got tired of it. I thought the book would fix me, but there's a lot in here to read. And I wasn't acting on faith. I wasn't storing up treasures in heaven when I got that book. I was storing up treasures on earth, which we can lose interest in. We can lose interest in this. The stuff is not the goal. Right? Getting stuff in our life, this is not the goal. They are an effect. When we really understand what it means to store up the treasures in heaven, the effects show up in our life. And we can still end up with stuff, but we'll have this stuff in our life for a different reason. We will have acquired it through faith and through taking action. We won't see it as it needs to fix me, I'll be a better person when I get this thing, right? When we're walking in faith, when we're embodying faith, it's like we don't need to be fixed. We really don't. We don't need to be fixed. We just need to be more aware of what it is that is working through us. So I have had this question asked of me fairly often, and I used to ask this question all the time. What am I doing that's wrong? I'm asking for stuff and I'm not getting it. So what am I doing that's wrong? So there's a verse, and I'm sorry I didn't write down where it came from, probably Matthew, Mark, or Luke or John. But Christ is saying, and I'm going to read the verse very quickly first. All things you ask in my name, you will be given. So far you have not done this. Ask without hidden motive. Be surrounded by your answer. Be enveloped by what you desire, that your gladness be full. All right, so let's look at this verse. What did he just say to us? All things that you ask in my name. Okay, well, are we asking within the Christ consciousness, within faith, that God indeed works through us, for us, as us, because we are the physical activity of God in this world? Are we asking in that consciousness, or are we asking it for something in the consciousness of lack? Well, I'm broken and I need this to fix me. I can't make money on my own, so I need a book to do it for me. Okay, so is that the consciousness we're asking in? Then he says, so far you have not done this. Right, so either we're not asking, or we're not asking from this higher consciousness. We're not asking from a place of faith. Okay, maybe we're asking from limitation. He says, ask without hidden motive and be surrounded by your answer. Our answer is the solution. Now, if we're all focused on our problem, what we don't have, the lack of something in our lives, we're in our problem. And all we're just going to keep seeing is problem, lack. I don't have this. My life is missing something. There's a big void. Okay, but when we're in our solution, we can only go into the solution through faith. So when we are acting on faith, the solution presents itself all around us. We know the next thing to do. Okay, we know the next thing to do. Be enveloped by what you desire. Okay, what we desire, that's the next, you could call it your happy outcome, the next experience that you want to create, something new that you want to do in your life. We're imagining that right from the beginning. This gives us clarity on what we want to create in our lives. We got to have a destination, right? So we have clarity on that. Now, as we keep imagining it and we're feeling it as if it is so, it's already being created in the realm of divine mind. And our attention to it and our activity to manifest it into our life gives it enough physical weight that it ends up coming into our life. So it's very important to be enveloped by what we desire, to really feel it as if it is so. So storing up our treasures in heaven, what does this have to do with ask and it is given? Now our goal is to embody faith. Our goal is to step into our spiritual authority. It's on us to make choices that get us closer to our desire. It's on us to do that. because we are the activity of God in our lives. Remember, God's not a genie out there who's just going to give us stuff. We have to take responsibility for participating in what we're doing with our life. So we're walking in faith. That's on us. We have to decide we're walking in faith. We know what it feels like to be in doubt. We know when we go into doubt. You know, our unity principles, right? This is why I love our unity principles. When I feel doubt, I remind myself, okay, wait, God is all things, and that means me. And that means me, right? I can do something about this. I can change my mind and start, I can go into faith. I can pray. I can meditate. It's on me, though. It's on me. Then believing, of course, that it is done, it gives us the clarity and it gives us our destination. So storing up our treasures, it happens between, storing up our treasures in heaven, okay, in heaven. It happens between where we are right here and our life when we have that desire made manifest. So here we are, we're at point A. Point B, if you want your dream house, right? You don't have your dream house now. Point B is the dream house then. So, right, so we're at point A and there's that point B. Now, I'm just gonna give a silly little explanation for this. Imagine that you are standing in front of a vending machine, okay? And it's full of food. You see all the food in this vending machine, and there's a bag of pistachios. You decide you want the bag of pistachios. It seems like a good choice. You don't look at the vending machine and say, I'm so hungry, if only I had some pistachios. Okay, you don't do that. You take action. You know what your desire is. It's those pistachios. Now, just knowing your desire, what it is that you want to experience, in this case, eating pistachios, this triggers a process in you. And it's the how. The how. Okay, you know the pistachios, you want those. How do you get there? Okay, you look at the price. Okay, it's $1.25. I don't know if that's off. I haven't bought anything out of a vending machine in a really long time. Okay, so it's $1.25. Okay, do I have 5 quarters? Yes, I do. Okay, what's the number? We gotta know the number, right? C5. Okay, so I put my money in. I press C5. Where does it come out? Down here. Okay, you get your pistachios. It's a really simple process for all of us. Any of us, we could buy those pistachios and we could be on our phone at the same time, okay? And talking with somebody else right there with us. But do you remember the first time you ever used a vending machine? You probably don't. I don't remember the first time I did, but I remember the first time my kids did. Because there was a period of time in the early 2000s, they were very young, my grandmother and my Aunt Joyce were spending a lot of time in the hospital. So my kids were little, I was taking them to the hospital, we would just go visit for a little bit every day. Well, one day, you know, they were a little salty and not happy about being down there. And I was like, oh, look, a vending machine. So I go to the vending machine and I get them one of those cookie packs that has the 2 big cookies and give them each a cookie out of that. They thought that was pretty neat. The next day, it's like, Mom, can we go to that machine again? So we go there. And they watch me go through the process again. The next day we go there, back, right? This time, they want to do it. All right, so they go through it's like I give them the quarters, but see, they're very hesitant. They're also highly focused. So, because now they were doing this process, they examined everything available for like minutes and minutes, right? They were really, really looking at everything. And then they kept asking a lot of questions. Okay, Mommy, I put my quarter here. Yes, sweetie. Right here, Mom? Yes. Okay, so they put the quarters in. All right, and I push this number. Is this the number, Mom? Yeah, push that number. Okay, this one? Okay, and then they pushed it. And I get it here? Yeah. Will it pinch my hand? No, honey, just hold the door open, right? And they get it, okay? The next day it was the same process. But then there was like the 3rd time in, and they were like, okay, Mommy, don't tell us how to do this. And now they were just doing it on their own, okay? It's a simple enough process, okay, but it's the same exact process when we want to create something new in our life. The same exact process. Okay, so here we are now, we're at point A, and our desire is point B. Okay, and so here, I'm going to use, this is my little thing I'm using today. Imagine your desire is in this little basket. Whatever it is that you want to create in your life, it's in this little basket. Okay, here it is. Okay, so Neville Goddard said, creative power will not operate itself. This just means the universe is not going to do all the stuff for it. We must participate with it. It's not a genie that's going to give us everything. We must participate with it. It's not just going to hand us things any more than the vending machine is just going to toss those pistachios at you. You have to participate with a vending machine, and you have to participate with life. You have to participate with God. You have to participate with that power that creates worlds that's also working through you right here and now. So it responds to what we're doing between point A, where we stand now, and point B, getting our desired outcome. It's responding to this part of our process, right? This right here is where we're flexing our faith muscle. Now, my kids, when they were learning to use a vending machine, they were really flexing in here, right? And I know you're thinking right now, like, it's no big deal, right? Okay? But see, if you think again about that vending machine, you weren't asking for the pistachios. You knew you wanted the pistachios. What you were asking was, how do I get those pistachios? How do I get from here to here? Okay, so this is the process right here where we're storing up our treasures in heaven. This is the process here that fulfills us. We get a great deal of fulfillment right here. When my kids learned to use that vending machine, they did it on their own. They had more fun getting the snacks out of the machine than they did eating the snacks. They got their snacks, and then I was like, well, what do you want, Mommy? What can we get Grammy? Should we get something for Dad and take it home for him later? Like, they just wanted to keep buying stuff out of there because that part was so much fun to them. Okay, so it's this process here. We are acting on faith, but it's the fun part. We've created something. Here's an effect. We got some stuff. Some kind of stuff came into our life, right? But it's this part that is so much fun for us. So we're going to want to keep creating. We're going to want to keep calling forth the good through us and for us as us. This is just a nice outcome. This is a happy outcome. But I think all of us have had the experience where, well, I want to create this in my life. And then we created it, and then we're happy about it. But then we're like, okay, what next? What do I want to do now? Okay, I think of hobbies like, okay, playing guitar. Has anybody ever who loves guitar just picked it up one time and thought, okay, that was good, I'll just never do that again? Okay, knitting or crocheting. Who here knits and crochets, right? Okay, can you just knit one scarf and you're done with it? Like, I've got like 45 scarves at home because I just have a good time doing it, okay? Just want to keep doing it. So, we're storing up our treasures in heaven. We know what our desire is, our happy outcome. We know that the universe is not going to just drop this off in our lap, that we are going to be participating. We participate by asking, how do I get from here to there? What could I do next? Right? What's the next thing then after that? What could I do? Now, when we're walking by faith, we're embodying faith, right? And we're willing to be in our solution because we're in faith. We receive direction. We receive some kind of instruction, and it takes us a step closer, right? This is, if you want to call it problem solving or just solutions coming up, when we're walking in faith, we continually get direction. As long as we act on it, we get one step, so we take it. We get it one direction, so we take it, right? If your GPS is telling you how to go to San Diego, you just follow it one turn at a time. You just do it. You know you'll get there. Now, if we are in doubt, so we're not embodying faith, we're in doubt, we are not surrounded by our answer, we're in limitation, we're not going to receive any instructions on how to get there, how to get from point A to point B. We won't get those instructions. What we're going to receive instead are more reasons to doubt, right? More feeling of limitation. And I'm going to share an example of this from my own life. I have it bad to have an Australian Shepherd puppy. Like, I got it bad. I had one when I was a kid. She was a blue Merle. I had her for 15 years. I love that dog so much. Now, my family and I, we've had like 15 rescues or something like that. We've really done a lot of rescues, and I admire rescues. And all. But see, right now, I just want an Australian Shepherd, blue Merle, female. And I watch videos of them on Instagram. And I'm like, how does this person have 5 of these dogs, and yet I can't find one? And they used to be like $800, but some of them are going now for $3,000. So I'm like, here's my Australian Shepherd. I'm like, why are they so freaking expensive? Like, what happened? Why are they so expensive now? Why does everybody want an Australian Shepherd all of a sudden? Seriously, like, there are better dogs out there, okay? My dog used to love to run away, right? And she would drive me crazy, but I just loved her with all my heart. But why does everybody all of a sudden want an Australian Shepherd? Because they're hard to come by. So there's like, oh, well, that's a hard dog to get. I just have to have it now, right? And somebody told me on Instagram, well, we can ship a puppy to you. Like, ship it? Well, where do you live, Georgia? Like, but what happened to the days when you go sit in the middle of all the puppies and see which one you connect with? What happened to those days? So here I am. Here's my Australian Shepherd. I'm like, why are they so expensive? Okay, why are they so hard to get? They're so rare. Why does somebody have my dog right now? I'm not in faith, right? And so right there, that's like my really big challenge right there, okay? What makes this process here so hard, asking and being given, is it's actually really simple. This process here is very simple. Just embody faith. Just walk in faith. Trust that Spirit moving through you, right? God put you here to do good works, and the good ideas, if you have this idea, if you got this inspiration, where do you think it came from? Right? It came, if it's to do more good in this world or to add more good to your life, it came from God, right? So that's all we have to do. We embody faith. We remember who it was that put us on this planet, and that this force, this divine force, divine mind, it wants us to live a life abundant. So what happens here, because this is such a simple process going from point A to point B, really it's so simple, is we get distracted. We get distracted by stuff. Neville Goddard says, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and observe the route that your attention follows. Now, when you're assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you're feeling it as if it's already happened, okay? And then, of course, your attention will go down the path of, you're in faith because you're feeling all that. It will guide you to get to your destination of your new puppy or your dream house or whatever that is. We'll get inspired, and we act on the inspiration. We'll be aware of different opportunities that we're not aware of when we're lamenting about how expensive this thing has gotten or how hard it is to come by these things. We're not going to be aware of opportunities. I ran into somebody, and they had a beautiful little blue Merle, and I'm like, where did you get your dog? Oh, our friend just gave it to us. They didn't want it anymore. I'm like, okay. To me, I saw that as a sign of land, right? A sign telling me, stop doubting. Just be in faith, because you just never know, right? If God is all things, none of us ever know how God is going to act through something in our environment and totally surprise us. Okay, we just have no idea. So we get stopped by our own distractions, okay? And our own distractions come from that little small self of ours, right? Some personal growth circles call it the ego. Some churches call it the devil or the adversary. Here in Unity, we call it the little me. Because the little me is just that part that wants to keep us in our comfort zone, doesn't want us to grow, right? It's the opposite of our great me, which is when we embody faith and we act in faith and we're calling forth the Christ consciousness through us. The little me can distract us, and it's diabolical, and it is clever, and it can give us every excuse and every justification and just make itself sound so smart, we buy into it before we think about it. So one thing, of course, is here we've got our destination. But see, one thing that might distract us is we're thinking, well, I don't even know what I want. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want to create. I don't know why I'm here on this planet. All right? And so we're lacking clarity. right? And the little me is like, well, just stay home and watch Netflix today. Everything's going to be okay. Don't bother trying to create, right? Let other people create. Why do you think your ideas are any good anyway, right? Somebody else has already done it. Okay, or we think we have to settle for something, right? Maybe you want to plan a trip to Egypt, so that's your destination point, right? I'm going to go to Egypt. But wait, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening right now. Maybe I don't want to leave the country. Maybe it'd be scary. Maybe really I ought to just go to Palm Springs for the weekend. I'll just do that. That seems safe. That seems safe. So we settle. We settle. Actually, I know somebody who's planning a trip to Egypt. Like, she's really excited about it. Okay, what also can distract us is we see our desire and we think, but wait, what if it's the wrong desire? What if I screw it up? All right, maybe somebody wants to get training in something new. Maybe somebody's thinking about retiring or getting a new job or traveling to Egypt. And you think, well, this is my desire, this is my destination, but what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't work out? So maybe I shouldn't just try. Maybe that's it. Maybe I just won't try. In the process from here to there, from point A to point B, one thing we'll never get is a guarantee, right? Because a guarantee does not help us grow. A guarantee does not help us to expand our territory and expand our consciousness and call forth more good into this world, right? Guarantees are only for tires and other parts on a car, right? Going from here, point A to point B, this is a process. This is the process. And when we act in faith, this part is going to be so much fun, we're going to want to keep doing it again. Going from point A to point B, this is where we are learning to act on divine instruction. Sometimes we're guided to do something, it's out of our comfort zone, and it feels scary. But at the same time, we think, but I really want to do this. But wait, it feels scary. But I really want to do this. If I don't get this in my life, I'm going to be so sad I didn't even try. And you know what? Once you've done something that feels a little scary, how do you feel on the other side of that? You feel like you did something. You feel like you did something. We don't grow. We do not grow if we know how to get there. If we know every single step of the way, that's any of us standing in front of that vending machine. We already know how to do it. We're not growing our consciousness when we stand in front of a vending machine now. Okay, we're not, unless we're choosing new foods to live on or something. Okay, we only expanded our consciousness that little bit when we first learned to use the vending machine. All right, so this is where we're growing. So it's here where we're calling forth more of our divine nature out into our life, through us, for us, as us. This process, this is what expands our territory. This is what expands our perceptions. This is what helps us to grow our consciousness. This part here is where we learn to give bigger and dream bigger and create bigger and receive bigger. All through doing this process right here. Now, the great thing about this is even if we get here and it doesn't work out, we've still done so much work right here. We've grown anyway. And then you know what? We make a new choice. This didn't work out. Okay, fine. This is what I'm going to do now. Right? And we've already stored up so many treasures in heaven just by going through the process to get to something that didn't work. So it's okay. We just go on to the next thing. We've already empowered ourselves. Right? We're getting better and better and better all the time at remembering to walk in faith. We don't have to have this all figured out. It's better if you don't, actually. Because if you don't know how at all you're going to get here, that means you have to rely on God. You have to rely on God. You have to act on the guidance that's given to you. You have to act on that direction. So that's going to grow you a lot. That will grow you a lot. Remember, if you have this idea, if you have this desire, you will also be given whatever you need to make it so. However that's going to look, and it probably will surprise you. I think for most of us, it's different than what we were imagining. But then it's so great when it happens, okay? So here's our call to action this week. I have a lovely affirmation for us. It is, my understanding of truth deepens and directs my life. Because this is our understanding of truth is what helps us storing up our treasures in heaven. So let's say this together. My understanding of truth deepens and directs my life. So this is storing up the treasures in heaven. This is the experience of creation in our lives, right? We're not asking for this happy outcome. We're not asking for that. We're asking, how do I create this experience in my life? What's the next thing I should do to get to this experience? How can I serve in a bigger way, right, that will bring this into my life? Because, you know, most of our happy outcomes, there's a big part of that where we're of service somehow. Like, we're of service, right? And service doesn't just mean you're waiting on somebody, right? Or you're doing a hard thing for somebody else. There are a lot of infinite ways that we are of service in this life. So asking what next? What would it take? How would I look if I tried this other thing? Like, how would that happen? And you know what? If you have no clarity about what you want to do here, ask for that. What would it take to get clarity on my life? What would it take for me to really understand and know what my purpose is? I'm feeling kind of lost here. So what would it take for me to move into a place where I'm open to allowing God's vision for my life to work through me so I'm aware of it and I'm moving in that direction? What would it take? What would it take? From Matthew chapter 7, verse 7 and 8, ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open. For whoever asks receives. Whoever seeks finds, and whoever knocks, the door is opened. That is how we are creating heaven on earth. So until next time, remember that you are the activity of God in a body. You are designed to be doing all this stuff right here and right now. You're the hands of God in this world. You are the heart of God in this world. You are a soul designed for growth and goodness. And everything you do, you are blessed, and so it is.